up, alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, we are going to bring it into a little bit of astrology, and this is something that I really haven't seen written or spoken of anywhere. I mean, it might be, I just don't know about it, so we freestyle in it as what's conveyed to me through channeling, but you know, that's how we roll. So let's get started. If you can tell by the title of the video, we are going to be talking about the 12th house transitioning into the first house of the astrological wheel. What I will be talking about is always Western tropical zodiac, and for this, for house placements, what you really want is your exact birth time and location, or the person you're checking up on, you gotta ask them their birth time, boo. Gotta do that in order to get the accurate house placements. So I have a link below where you can just type in your details and then find out your house placements. So 12th house, first house. In some of my other videos, I do have mentioned that the astrological wheel is not just like these sharp pie slice cuttings. If we want to think of the zodiacal wheel as a pie and we're just slicing things out and just taking pieces of the pie here and there, it'll have a sharp edge, it'll have a sharp line, but that's not exactly how the zodiacal wheel works, especially if we want to look at different decans of the sign. So what about different houses? What happens when a house is transitioning into another? In my opinion, what is conveyed to me, the most important aspect in the Western tropical zodiac is the ascendant. You want to look at any planets that are corresponding with the ascendant, any planets that are conjunct the ascendant, opposition the ascendant, all right? Those are the two that are going to have the most input on how the ascendant behaves. So someone's rising sign is the same as their ascendant. You might have heard me use these interchangeably, but there you go, just to clarify, because sometimes I might refer to one and the other, but you know, we use them interchangeably. Ascendant, rising sign, SSDT, same shit, different title. So the 12th house and the first house, depending on what planets are in them and what signs they are, there is going to be a transition period. And when we're talking about the ascendant, this is someone, how they are viewing their third dimensional reality through the lens of. So for example, if someone has Leo rising, they are going to be aspiring to embody the traits of Leo in every aspect of their experience, every aspect of their personality, every aspect of their zodiacal chart. When we have Leo rising, and let's say their 12th house is Cancer, right? Because Cancer and Leo, you know, we're just going in order here. Okay, Cancer transitioning from 12th house traits and characteristics moving into Leo. This is going to be the 12th house, what they are letting go of, what they are dropping in order to aspire more and more in the moment of what their Leo first house, rising, ascendant, desires to experience. So looking at their physical realm environment through the lens of Leo, while systematically letting go of the traits of Cancer. So this is just one example, but obviously you can personalize it to your chart or whichever chart you're studying. Okay, I'm just using that example because that's the first one that popped up. So there you go. That zodiacal wheel, that pie, is not going to be sharply cut off into those little triangle pieces. It's going to transition slowly. It's going to be a nice gradient. So as someone aspires to attain the characteristics and traits of the sign of Leo, we are thinking of exuberance, and we're thinking about center stage, and we're thinking about someone who has a very strong personality and who is looking at things as fun from a childlike sense of adventure or standpoint. With the sign of Cancer being on the 12th, what's going to happen there is that in order to embody these fun-loving, childlike, enthusiastic qualities of Leo, what is the most important thing for them to do is really be okay with letting go with some of those traits of Cancer. So some of the traits of Cancer is perhaps being a little more emotional, perhaps being moody, perhaps being more fixated on past events and how they are playing out in your reality now, rather than looking forward from that fixed vantage point of Leo, from that childlike wonder, and saying, well, listen, I have enthusiasm for this. I haven't necessarily experienced it before, but you know what? I know it's going to be good. Whereas, let's say 12th house Cancer traits, it's more focused on the emotion of a situation rather than the possibility of having fun in the moment. So the 12th house is what's going to constantly be released in the moment in order for someone to fully embrace their first house traits and characteristics. So with the example that I used with Cancer and Leo energy, what's happening is that the emotion of the past is going to require continual dropping, or it might feel natural for the native of Cancer 12th house to continually drop and disengage from things of an emotional nature that have come before. And it might be very natural for this individual with 12th house Cancer, 1st house Leo to embrace the newness of the moment, embrace the childlike wonder of the moment, embrace the joy of the endless possibilities, the exciting possibilities that are being presented to them in the moment. So the ascendant, because this is very swift moving, the ascendant point on the natal chart is swifter than even the moon. The moon takes about 2.5 days to transit each zodiac sign. The ascendant transits each sign about every 2 hours. So this is really fast. This is why the ascendant is imperative for experiencing life in the moment. And because it is not a sharp pie cutout of the zodiacal wheel, what's going to happen is that every time those Cancer emotions are dropped, naturally it's going to propel the native forward into those exuberant Leo traits. So the two of them are working together. They are canceling each other out, saying this is what you need to drop in order to live each moment in the fullest. And remember, we can use this for all the signs. We can use this for planets. Something that I want to touch on as well for celestial bodies, planets, asteroids, things like that, is that of course any planets that are in conjunction the ascendant, whether they be it from the 12th house or be it from the 1st house, are going to have an influence here too. So it's important to realize the characteristics that this celestial body is going to bring into the equation as well, and that's going to be different from everyone. Now, something else that I want to touch on with this is that the 12th house is going to be, if there's a celestial body, a planet, an asteroid there, what's going to happen is that these are going to, depending on where they are, if they are conjunct the ascendant, I personally, and obviously do what resonates with you, if you have something in the 12th house that is conjunction the ascendant, I personally will count that as just being propelled forward, okay? Especially if the degree of it is closing in on the angle of the ascendant, which means that at the time of your birth, that particular celestial body was moving towards the ascendant rather than moving away from it. The closer the degree, obviously, of this 12th house celestial body is going to make a difference. And traits, in just from what I've studied, what I've channeled, traits from that particular celestial body from the 12th house are going to really be pushed forward into that first house arena. So I personally would just count those only if they are conjunction the ascendant. If the celestial body in the 12th house is not in conjunction the ascendant, use your own discretion. Do what resonates with you. That's what we encourage here. Individuality. It's different strokes for different folks. Theoretically, any planets that are in the 12th house, unless they are conjunction the ascendant, are going to be easy to let go of the traits and characteristics. So if one has a planet, a luminary, an asteroid that is conjunction their ascendant, I personally would look at it as being part of the first house because it's already in conjunction with a cardinal point, and cardinal points are whoosh, energy pushers. Let's go with that. So just to keep that in mind, if you are looking at your own chart, if you have a celestial body that is conjunction your ascendant from the 12th house, I would just look at that as what is being projected into the future, what you're moving towards. Planets, celestial bodies, asteroids that are not conjunct the ascendant, that is going to be something that you are moving away from, just to put it in short, because it might feel natural to move away from characteristics of what's going on in that 12th house that is not conjunct the ascendant, and it might feel natural to roam towards the energies of any celestial bodies that are in the first house or conjunction the ascendant. It's just all about what is feeling natural. Planets in the 12th house do have their own importance, which I believe I have another video on. I'm not sure, but I think I do. If not, maybe I'll make one. Planets are their importance, so we want to recognize the attributes of planets that are going on in the 12th house. But we also want to keep in mind that sometimes these planetary traits that are happening in the 12th house are going to be easier to be dropped and let go of in order to move forward in the now moment with the celestial bodies that are either conjunction the ascendant or in the first house, because that is what we are striving towards. That is what we recognize easily as being a part of ourselves. First house, house of self. Planets that are conjunction the ascendant are sort of like the fuel that is going to get the fire going of the first house of how one is going to view their physical realm environment. So always good to look at everything, and remember, there is no planet or celestial body that is going to have more importance or less importance if it's in the 12th house or in the first house. They are equally as important, but they are just going to be recognized in the native differently, and they are going to be displayed differently in how one is going about in their third dimensional experience. So that's what I got for you today. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.